My parents and sister stole my money and identity after I paid their bills for years. While living poor, I cut them off and sent them to jail. I'm a 30-year-old male who has always been the responsible one in my family. I've been working as a construction foreman for almost a decade now. It's good money, but my back is shot from years of heavy lifting. I started as a basic laborer at 22 and worked my way up through sheer grit, showing up every single day even when I was sick or hurting. My boss noticed and promoted me 3 years in. Now I manage a crew, and we handle mostly commercial projects, strip malls, office renovations, that kind of thing. My parents, Carol and Steve, are 58 and 60 years old respectively, and they've always been terrible with cash, monumentally bad. In fact, they weren't always like this though. Back when I was a kid, Dad had a decent job at the paper mill, and Mom worked part-time at a dentist's office. We weren't rich, but we had enough. Then the mill shut down when I was in high school, and everything went downhill. Dad bounced between jobs, never finding anything stable. Mom started working full-time, but they'd already gotten used to a certain lifestyle they couldn't afford anymore. Credit cards became their solution to everything: a new TV, a vacation they couldn't afford, car repairs, you name it. By the time I graduated high school, they were drowning in debt, but kept pretending everything was fine. I couldn't afford college with their finances in shambles, so I went straight into construction while living at home to help with bills. My younger sister Carmen is 27 years old and has been even worse. She calls herself an aspiring content creator, but really she's just another basic chick posting filtered selfies and unboxing videos to her sad 1,200 followers. Last year, she dropped $900 on a ring light setup and acts like she's going to be the next Kylie Jenner or something. Never mind that she studied communications at State College for 5 years and took an extra year to graduate because she kept changing her focus. Now she has a degree gathering dust somewhere after college. She worked at a marketing firm for all of 8 months before quitting because her boss didn't respect her vision. Since then, it's been a string of part-time retail jobs that she quits the moment they expect her to actually work. Between jobs, she lives rent-free at our parents' place, eating their food and running up their utilities while building her brand. Carmen tried starting some nonsense online clothing boutique that tanked after burning through $15,000 of my parents' retirement money. She called it high-end fashion, but more like high-end garbage bags with sequins. The funniest part was watching her make these cringeworthy entrepreneur posts while the business was actively failing. Rise and grind, boss babe. Women in business, indeed. Meanwhile, she couldn't even ship the right sizes to people. You get the vibe. Lol. Last Christmas, Carmen had the nerve to gift me a shout-out package on her Instagram as my present. She literally handed me a card with her own profile printed on it, saying, "Congrats, you've won a featured post on Carmen Styles." What even is that? Meanwhile, I'd spent $350 on the Apple Watch she'd been hinting about for months. I even tried helping with her little business-built shelves, set up spreadsheets, offered to handle shipping with my logistics experience. She brushed it off, saying my corporate mindset killed her creativity. 2 months later, she was buried in complaints about wrong orders and late deliveries. When customers started posting negative reviews, she called me crying about internet bullies and expected me to call each one and make it right, because I make good with difficult people. I refused, and she didn't speak to me for a month. It was, honestly, the most peaceful month of my life. My parents eat that crap up. Dad bought her a MacBook Pro for editing, which she uses to watch Netflix, while Mom defends her every failure like it's some badge of honor. Carmen's exploring her passions. No, Carmen's exploring your wallet. Anytime I try to point out that maybe Carmen needs to get a real job, I'm the bad guy. You just don't understand the creator economy, Sam. I'm pretty sure the creator economy involves actually creating something of value. But what do I know? The worst was when Carmen crashed her car while texting and driving. Big surprise there. Mom called me instead of insurance, explaining that Carmen was too upset to deal with this right now, as if that justified anything. When I asked about their coverage, it turned out they dropped it to liability only without telling me after I'd specifically paid for their comprehensive policy 6 months before. That money had clearly gone to Carmen's business retreat in Miami, which suspiciously looked like a vacation from her Instagram posts. Since that boutique disaster 3 years ago, I've basically been their safety net, covering their mortgage of $1,200 a month when they fall short, which is basically every other month. Their house isn't even that nice 3-bedroom ranch in a decent but aging suburb. They could have had it paid off by now if they'd stuck to the original 30-year mortgage. But instead, they're 15 years in with 25 years still to go, thanks to all the refinancing. I even dropped $3,800 on Carmen's car repairs. Last year, she skipped a dental appointment because she couldn't afford it. Yet she still managed to make it to Coachella that same month. It was just basic maintenance she ignored until it all failed. The brakes were shot, the timing belt was ready to snap, and the tires were bald. My Uncle Joe, the mechanic, even asked if she had a death wish. Meanwhile, her Instagram was filled with boat selfies and some guy with industry connections. Whatever that means, I even covered Dad's $5,200 medical bills because he refused cheaper insurance. He claimed the hospital food was better on his plan. He has basic health issues he could manage if he took his meds and ate something green once in a while. Every time I buy groceries, the veggies rot and the junk food disappears like magic. Then he has the audacity to call me wheezing after climbing the stairs to complain that his doctor is trying to scam him by suggesting he lose weight and exercise. Mom single quotes as no better with the medical stuff. She got prescribed generic blood pressure meds but insisted on the name brand that cost $180 more per month, 'cause she read online that generics are made in China. I tried explaining that her medication is literally the same compound, just cheaper, but she accused me of wanting her to die to save a few bucks. Then she had me drive her to 3 different pharmacies to find one that stocked her preferred brand. One time, I was late sending money for their electric bill because I was literally in the hospital with a work injury. A beam dropped on my shoulder and tore my rotator cuff. The surgeon said I was lucky it wasn't worse. Mom called me 4 times, asking where the money was. She didn't even ask how I was doing. She just said, "We need that transfer today." I was literally on post-op painkillers, trying to figure out how to do a bank transfer with one arm in a sling. The next day, she showed up at the hospital not with food or comfort items, but with their water bill and property tax statement. She laid them on my meal tray right next to my Jell-O cup and started calculating how much I'd need to transfer once I got my workers' comp check. Then she complained about the hospital parking fee and hinted that I should cover that too. All told, I've dumped around $42,000 into their lives over the past 3 years. That's not an estimate. I actually went through my bank statements and added it all up one depressing Sunday night. Mortgage help, car payments, medical bills, loans that were never repaid, groceries, utilities, it just kept adding up. Meanwhile, I'm living in a crappy 1-bedroom apartment with pipes that sound like they're summoning demons every time I flush. But hey, family's family, right? At least that's what I kept telling myself while I watched my savings account bleed out. My apartment isn't even cheap, $1,350 a month for 680 square feet in a building that was probably nice when Reagan was president. The location's decent, close to most of our job sites, but the amenities are a joke. The fitness center is a rusty treadmill and 2 dumbbells in what used to be a storage closet. The pool is closed more often than it's open due to filter problems. But it's all I can afford while essentially supporting 2 households. My buddy Derek kept telling me I was getting used, but I brushed it off with the classic, "They do the same for me," even though I knew they wouldn't spot me $50 if I was stranded. He's known me since high school and watched the whole family's money drain in real time. He even tried an intervention once, showing up with spreadsheets breaking down how I could have bought a house by now. I got pissed and ignored him for 2 weeks, then apologized when I realized he was just looking out. Last Thanksgiving proved Derek right. I caught the flu, real deal 103 fever. I felt like death. I called Mom to say I couldn't make dinner. Her response was, "But who's going to carve the turkey? Your father's wrist is still sore from his golf game." Not once did she ask if I was okay or needed anything. Her only concern was about who would perform my designated function. I ended up dragging myself there anyway, sweating through dinner and giving everyone my flu. Dad had the nerve to complain that I'd ruined the holiday when he got sick 3 days later. Then came that call in June that changed everything. It was a Wednesday night, hot as anything in my apartment. The AC was busted again, and the maintenance guy Terry had been saying, "I'll fix it tomorrow," for 2 weeks. I was sprawled on my couch in basketball shorts, chugging ice water, when my phone lit up with my mom's face. The window unit I'd bought as a backup was struggling against the 94 heat, making this awful rattling noise every few minutes. I'd just gotten home from a 12-hour day overseeing a concrete pour that had to be done before the real heat kicked in. My shirt was still damp with sweat, and I had that bone-deep exhaustion that comes from being on your feet all day. "Hey, Mom," I answered, thinking she needed grocery money or something. "Sam," she said, with that fake, cheerful voice. "Just wanted to let you know Carmen's hosting a big pool party at her place for the 4th. We're covering everything." By her place, Mom meant the townhouse Carmen rented that I was subsidizing to the tune of $600 a month because she couldn't afford the full $1,800 rent on her sporadic income from part-time social media consulting gigs. By covering everything, she meant I'd be getting a call in a day or two asking for a little help with party supplies. I waited for the invite. It didn't come. "So should I bring something?" I finally asked. She said with this weird little laugh, "Actually, Carmen doesn't want you there. She's invited some influencer friends and doesn't want them seeing her. Less successful family members. No offense." I nearly choked. "Are you freaking kidding me? After everything I've done for you guys? Don't be so sensitive." "Sam, it's her big networking opportunity. She can't have you showing up in your work clothes talking about construction. It ruins her image." I looked down at my faded t-shirt with my company's logo and a small tear near the hem. Was this what Carmen was so ashamed of? The fact that I actually worked for a living. Her image. "Mom, I live in a shoebox apartment because I've been paying your bills. I gave Carmen $3,000 last month. That $3,000 was for a social media course run by some Instagram guru promising to teach the secrets of monetization. Carmen swore this was the investment that would finally launch her career. I had to put off getting my truck's transmission serviced to cover it. The week after I gave her the money, she posted pics of a new designer purse with hashtag self-investment. When I texted asking about it, she claimed it was borrowed from a friend for photo shoots. That friend's profile didn't exist when I searched for it. Well, that's your choice. Nobody asked you to do that. Anyway, Carmen needs this for her career. Don't be selfish. I hung up and immediately opened my banking app. There it was, $9,800 transferred to them over the past 4 months alone. And I just put down a $1,500 deposit on a lake house rental for the whole family for the week after the 4th. Mom had been begging for months about needing a family getaway. I'd booked it as a surprise, planning to tell them this weekend. It had a dock for fishing, which Dad used to love before he got too lazy to go, a fire pit for making s'mores, and enough bedrooms that we wouldn't be on top of each other. My finger hovered over the cancellation link. That Instagram post from last weekend flashed in my head, proposing on some guy's boat with the caption, "Self-Care Sunday." Sometimes you got to splurge on yourself. With a nail polish emoji while I was eating ramen for the 3rd night that week because I'd helped Mom cover their property tax bill. I hit cancel. Refund processed. But that wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. For the first time in years, I let myself really feel the anger I'd been pushing down. All those times I'd skipped going out with friends because I couldn't afford it. The vacation days I'd sold back to my company for extra cash that went straight to their bills. The dating relationships that fizzled because I was always stressed about money or getting calls from my family during dates. Like the time I was at dinner with Melissa, this cool architect I'd met through work. Right as our food arrived, Carmen called 5 times in a row. When I finally answered, thinking someone had died, it was because she'd locked herself out of her Apple account and needed my password, right? Now, because she was in the middle of a super important Instagram live. Melissa never returned my calls after that date. The next morning, I called my cousin Toby, who works at the electric company. "Yo, need a favor?" I said when he picked up. "What's up, man? You sound pissed." Toby and I used to be close as kids before my families. Financial disaster pulled me away from everyone. He'd gotten a solid union job right out of high school, bought a modest house with his wife Tara, and had 2 kids and a dog, the normal stable life I should have had if I wasn't constantly bailing out my family. I laid out the whole situation. Years of supporting them, thousands drained from my account, and now being excluded from the family 4th of July because I might damage Carmen's influencer cred. "That's messed up," Toby said. "Your sister's always been a taker, but your parents should know better." My plan was simple. Toby worked in the scheduling department at the electric company. With the heat wave coming, they were already preparing for potential brownouts due to high AC usage. All he had to do was make sure my parents' neighborhood was on the list for a planned maintenance outage during peak party hours on the 4th. Toby laughed his butt off as I explained. "That's wild, dude. I love it. I'm in." "You sure? You won't get in trouble?" I asked, suddenly concerned about dragging him into my family drama. "Nah, these maintenance outages are scheduled all the time in summer. I'll just move some things around on the calendar. Totally routine paperwork stuff. Nobody will question it." I also reached out to my friend Marcus, who does HVAC work. His company handled the maintenance for Carmen's townhouse complex. "Sure about this?" he asked after I explained. "Text me when you want it done." Marcus agreed to postpone the repair order for Carmen's AC unit, which was already showing signs of strain. Nothing dangerous, just making sure it wouldn't get fixed before the party, when it would inevitably fail in the heat. All he had to do was move her repair ticket to the after-holiday weekend pile, which was standard practice anyway, given the backlog of emergency calls they were getting during the heat wave. Over the next few days, I kept everything normal. Dad called asking for $200 for party supplies, and I sent it without comment. Mom texted about borrowing my coolers for the party, and I dropped them off with a smile. Carmen didn't contact me at all, except to ask if I could boost her posts about the party. The nerve. I also started quietly preparing for my own freedom. I contacted my bank about removing my parents as authorized users on my backup credit card something I'd set up for emergencies that had somehow become their regular shopping card. I changed all my passwords and PIs. I even called my cell phone provider to remove Carmen from my family plan, where I'd been paying for her unlimited data for years. The customer service rep asked if I wanted to notify the removed line. "Absolutely not," I said. "Let her find out the hard way." The day before the 4th, Toby swung by my place with a drink. "All set for tomorrow," he grinned. "Man, this heat wave is supposed to be brutal. Going to hit 97? Yep, perfect timing." July 4th came, and my social feeds lit up with Carmen's pool party prep. Mom was arranging platters of food. Dad was in a ridiculous grill apron setting up new patio furniture I definitely paid for at some point. And Carmen was in a new bikini posing with her friends by the pool. Hashtag family time was filled with hashtag all smiles and rainbows. The food spread looked expensive steaks, fancy charcuterie boards, and what looked like catered desserts. There were professional-looking decorations everywhere. Balloon arches, custom banners. Even what looked like a photo booth set up with props all for Carmen's networking opportunity. I recognized the pool floats from my Amazon account. Feed been delivered to my place by mistake last week before I forwarded them to Carmen. Somehow, she'd ordered $300 worth of inflatable stuff on my account and forgotten to mention it. She even posted a story with some lame influencer who had 5,000 followers, acting like she'd booked a celebrity appearance. So blessed to have Lifestyle by Jenna at my exclusive pool gathering. #networking, #blessed, she wrote. I spent the day at a baseball game with Derek, deliberately keeping my phone on silent. We had decent seats along the third baseline. I bought myself a jersey, got the overpriced drink and nachos, and even splurged on dessert. So, you really going through with this? Derek asked. Yep, I said. Tonight's the night I stop being their safety net. About time, he replied. What are you going to do with all that extra money you're not sending their way? I hadn't even thought that far ahead. To maybe actually start saving for my own house, or take a real vacation for once. Hell, maybe I'll even start dating again without having to end every night early because Mom's calling about the water bill. To financial freedom, Derek said, raising his cup. When we got back to my place around 11:45 p.m., my phone was exploding. Mom, Sam, the power just went out. The whole block. Call us back. Son, we need help. Power's gone, and it's hot as hell in here. Carmen, what the hell did you do? The power's out, and all my influencer friends are leaving. My makeup is running. I scrolled through more messages, smiling at each one. The satisfaction was real. Carmen, my refrigerator full of party food is going to spoil. This is thousands of dollars. Mom, Sam, please call us back. It's an emergency. Dad, the neighbors say the power company says it won't be back until morning. Then came the social media notifications. Carmen's Instagram story update. Worst night ever. Power outage ruined everything. Universe is testing me. With a cry emoji. One of her friends had posted, thanks for the sweatfest, Carmen Styles. Maybe check your electricity bill next time, lol. Another commented, some exclusive event. Couldn't even keep the lights on. Fail. The shot in fray was delicious. Then, I turned my phone off and slept like a baby for the first time in years. No anxiety about tomorrow's family emergency. No mental calculations of how much I could spare this month. Just peaceful, dreamless sleep. The next day, notifications from them were still piling up. 47 missed calls. 23 voicemails. I scrolled through. 89 texts, grinning the whole time. The power had gone out at Carmen's place just as the party was peaking. Toby had cleverly arranged for their block to be accidentally deprioritized for restoration due to a system error. With temperature still in the 90s at midnight, everyone had left Carmen's dark, hot house. Her perfect pool party had ended with warm drinks, melting ice cream, and a bunch of sweaty, annoyed guests. But that was just the beginning. The AC had failed completely around 10 p.m. right before the power outage. Marcus had ensured that the emergency repair team had scheduling conflicts. The combination of no AC and no power had turned Carmen's townhouse into an oven. According to the increasingly desperate texts, most of her influencer friends had left within an hour of the power outage, complaining about the heat and darkness. One of Carmen's texts really got to me. I've lost all my credibility because of you. Lifestyle by Jenna unfollowed me. She was going to feature me in her upcoming collab. The horror of being unfollowed by a nobody with a bot follower count tragic. My parents had apparently tried to save the day by bringing over battery-powered lanterns, but it was too little too late. The food had started to spoil in the heat. Without music, air conditioning, or even fans, the party had died a quick death. Mom's texts ranged from pleading to threatening, culminating in your father's blood pressure is through the roof because of this stress. If anything happens to him, it's on you. At around 2 p.m., there was a pounding at my door. Dad stood there, red-faced and sweating, with Mom and Carmen behind him. The power's still out, he growled. And now the lake house reservation is gone. What the hell did you do? I leaned against the doorframe, cool air from my perfectly functioning AC washing over them. They looked rough. Clearly, none of them had slept well in the heat. Carmen's hair was frizzy, making her look like a pissed-off zombie. Mom's makeup was smeared, and Dad's shirt had sweat stains all over it. Guess I'm not family enough for your party, but I'm family enough to fix your problems, huh? This isn't funny, Sam, Dad shouted. It's 95 in that house. Fix it now. You know what's not funny? Stepped forward, feeling mistreated after carrying all of them financially for years. Carmen pushed past Dad, her face twisted with anger. You did this on purpose. You ruined everything. I had real influencers there. This could have been my big break. Oh, like that chick with 5,000 followers who sells knockoff handbags from her mom's basement. But sure, I'm the embarrassment. I laughed. You're just jealous because I'm building something while you swing hammers all day like a caveman. She screamed. Building what, Carmen? Debt? Delusion. You've never earned an honest dollar in your life. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Want to see something interesting? Here's what I've sent you in the past year alone. I scrolled through the transfers. $600, $850, $1,200, and on. That's $16,400, Carmen, just to you, not counting what I've given Mom and Dad. Where's that building something money coming from? Oh, right, my caveman job. Mom jumped in. Sam, that's enough. How dare you speak to your sister that way after all we've done for you? That was it. Something in me snapped. All you've done? For me? Are you freaking kidding me? I've given you $42,000 in 3 years. I live in a hole of an apartment while Carmen posts about a luxury lifestyle from a house I basically pay for. Carmen rolled her eyes. Whatever. Can I use your shower? Have a sponsored post due today and I look like crap. I stared at her, unable to believe the nerve she had while my parents just looked at me like I was the problem. I'm done with this nonsense. Get out, I yelled. All of you, get the hell out of my building. The hell you mean? Get out. Mom started. Get out. I yelled, loud enough that my neighbor's door cracked open. I'm done being your freaking wallet. Figure it out yourselves. You're going to regret this. Carmen hissed as Dad pulled her away. You're dead to me. Then I slammed the door, cutting off their yells. The next morning, the first thing I did was call my bank. I froze the joint account I shared with my parents, which they sometimes borrowed from. I changed all my passwords and removed my card from Carmen's Apple account, where she'd been charging her business expenses. I went through my automatic payments list, canceling recurring transfers to my parents' utility companies, Carmen's cell phone bill, and the extra insurance I was paying on Dad's car. Each cancellation felt like cutting a chain that had been weighing me down. The total monthly savings, $1,876.45, most $2,000 every single month that I'd been hemorrhaging to support their lifestyle. Then I called the utility companies for both my parents' house and Carmen's place. It turns out I'd been secretly added back as the guarantor on both accounts last month. My phone was blowing up again. It was all because my family was in crisis mode. Carmen, my Netflix isn't working. Fix it. I could hardly keep up. Mom, why can't I access the emergency fund account? Dad chimed in. Son, this has gone too far. Cut it off now. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I made a decision. I booked a flight to Bali for 3 weeks from now, leaving Friday. It was something I had always wanted to do, but could never afford because I was too busy bailing them out. I called a travel agent, yes, a real person, because I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. They helped me find a great deal on a beachfront bungalow. When the agent asked if this was my first big vacation, I replied, yes. And it's the first vacation where I'm only paying for myself. The total came to $4,300, which included flights, accommodations, and some excursions less than I typically spent on my family in a month. By afternoon, the family group chat was on fire. Mom, I can't believe you'd do this to your own family. Dad, after everything we've sacrificed. For you, Carmen, hope you enjoy being alone forever. Then my cousin Toby called, saying, "Dude, your family is telling everyone you abandoned them. Your aunt just called me asking if you had a mental breakdown. They were spreading rumors that I had flipped out for no reason, cut them off, and was being cruel." Carmen was posting tearful messages about toxic family members, claiming money changes people, and dropped hashtags like #HealingJourney while her followers flooded the comments with hearts and stay strong replies. I laughed and told Toby to send me the posts. She was in full victim mode, saying cutting off family was hard and blaming jealousy of her success. The best part? Carmen was posting this from her healing retreat at the local Marriott, with room service receipts clearly visible in her Instagram stories. Somehow, she had gone from broke to booking hotel stays overnight. Toby confirmed my parents had moved in with Carmen temporarily until their power was restored, playing the victim card with relatives to score sympathy cash. My aunt had even sent them $500 after hearing their sob story. I said nothing. Let them spin whatever narrative makes them sleep at night. I was out of the game. I spent the rest of the week ignoring their calls and prepping for my trip. I bought new clothes, a decent camera, some hiking gear, things I had always wanted but never justified because that money always ended up solving someone else's crisis. Then, on Wednesday, my neighbor spotted me in the parking lot. "Hey man, your family was here earlier banging on your door for 20 minutes. Is everything all right?" They looked pissed. "Sorry about that," I said. Family drama. Thursday night, the day before my flight, I got a text from my dad. "Your mother is crying herself to sleep every night. Hope you're happy." I replied for the first time in days. "I'm actually happier than I've been in years. I'll be flying to Bali tomorrow. Don't contact me." Almost immediately, my mom texted back, "You're going on vacation while we're struggling? How could you be so selfish?" I blocked them all, finished packing, and ordered myself a nice dinner. For once, I wasn't counting pennies or worrying about their next crisis. Nope. I was taking a vacation instead. You won't believe the chaos that happened while I was gone. I just came back from my trip, and what I found at home left me frozen. I never expected things to escalate the way they did. But here we are. I still can't process how the only vacation I ever took turned into complete chaos. All because my family couldn't let me enjoy it in peace. Buckle up, because let me tell you what happened next. First of all, Bali was incredible. 3 weeks of beaches, hiking, amazing food, and absolutely zero family drama. I had gone completely dark on social media to avoid any chance of them tracking my location or activities. For the first time in my adult life, I was completely unreachable to them. I made new friends with an Australian couple at my resort who couldn't believe I had never traveled before. But anyway, that's not our topic. Let me get to the part you've been waiting for. When I landed back home, I turned on my phone for the first time in weeks. As expected, the bombardment was immediate. Hundreds of missed calls, voicemails, texts, and emails. I deleted them all without reading. Whatever crises they had manufactured in my absence were no longer my problem. But something felt off when I got to my apartment building. The front desk guy gave me a weird look. "Glad you're back, man. Your family's been causing scenes here almost daily." Great. Just what I was asking for. The moment I opened my door, I knew something was seriously wrong. Someone had broken into my apartment. Yeah, let's act like we don't know who. Drawers were pulled out, the closet emptied, furniture moved. Then I realized they had a key. How did I miss that? I remembered my mom had guilted me into giving her a spare for emergencies years ago. I had completely forgotten about it. My rush to get away started when I noticed my laptop was missing. Not just gone, but it had been taken and then returned. I could tell because all my files had been accessed recently. Next, I looked at my filing cabinet, which was a complete mess. Important documents were strewn everywhere. My social security card was missing, and my birth certificate was gone. But that wasn't even the worst part. I checked my desk where I Kept my emergency cash $2,500 in a locked fireproof box for genuine crises. The box was still there, but it was empty. The key had been in my sock drawer, which was completely appended. I immediately pulled out my phone and checked my credit report. 4 new credit cards had been opened in my name while I was away. 2 of them were already maxed out, and a loan application was pending using my information. They had stolen my identity while I was gone for almost a month. That's all it took. I called the police right away and filed a report for theft and identity fraud. Next, I contacted my bank. Thank God I had the foresight to set up 2-factor authentication before leaving. They had tried to access my accounts multiple times, but couldn't get past the security checks that sent codes to my international phone number. The bank flagged the attempts as suspicious and locked everything down tighter. I spent the next 3 days in absolute hell, calling credit bureaus, filing fraud alerts, disputing charges, and documenting everything. The Identity Theft Protection Service I signed up for confirmed my suspicions. The applications had all come from my parents' IP address and were filled out using Carmen's laptop. They hadn't even tried to hide it. Why? Because they never expected me to take it this far. I called my cousin Toby and filled him in on everything. Toby was quiet for a minute. They've been telling everyone you abandoned them without warning. Your mom's been playing the victim card hard, posting on Facebook about how they're struggling to make ends meet with medical bills. Let me guess, they haven't mentioned stealing my identity or robbing my apartment. Shockingly, no. Toby laughed. But here's something you should know. Carmen's been bragging to my wife's cousin about getting back at you. She said something about teaching you a lesson about family loyalty. She's not exactly keeping it secret in certain circles. Perfect. I spent the next week securing everything, changing the locks, setting up cameras inside my apartment, and gathering all the evidence of the fraud and theft. Then I got a text from my dad. We need to talk. Family dinner tomorrow night. Be there. Or I'm calling your boss about your extended vacation. So they were moving to workplace threats now. Nice. I didn't respond, but did call my boss first. He's a solid guy. I just wanted to give you a heads up that my deranged family might try to cause problems. He laughed. Let them try. Your work speaks for itself, but thanks for the warning. Instead of attending their family dinner, I went to the police station with my completed evidence file. The detective assigned to my case started flipping through my meticulous documentation. This is open and shut. We'll be making arrests within 48 hours. True to her word, my parents and Carmen were picked up the next day. You know the best thing about living in a small town? Things stays hidden. Carmen's precious social media imploded as her followers, mostly college acquaintances, heard everything through Instagram gossip. They realized her luxury lifestyle was built on theft and fraud. My parents' friends started distancing themselves as the details emerged. Now, I won't bore you with the whole legal process, but in the end, their defense was pathetic. We were just taking what he owed us for raising him. The judge didn't buy it, and neither did the jury. My parents received probation and mandatory financial counseling due to their age and clean prior records. But Carmen wasn't so lucky. Her old shoplifting charge and the laptop evidence earned her 18 months. Her tearful courtroom meltdown about her influencer career being ruined didn't help. The restitution order was the best part. They have to pay back everything they stole, plus damages for the identity theft. Every month, a check comes to me instead of from me. How's that for karma? Now, I'm planning to move out of that apartment. As soon as my lease is up, I've already started looking for a house in a different neighborhood with good security and no spare keys given to anyone. My credit is recovering slowly, and I'm finally building savings for the first time in my adult life.